Be ready, 10 seconds to go. Start. This bill does not form part of what is called the Hindu Code series of bills. Nevertheless, it is connected with the various changes that are sought to be brought about so that it may be considered, broadly speaking, a part of that approach. During the last many years, we, this House, and its predecessors have been considering this matter in various forms. At least one, two, or three occasions I gave an assurance to this House that we shall expedite this matter. But somehow or other, my assurance did not produce much effect on the situation, and in spite of our wishes, there has been delay. It is true that in a matter of this kind, one cannot rush on and one has to give every consideration to various viewpoints in this house as well as outside. Nevertheless, it is rather unfortunate that there has been such considerable delay. Therefore, it is a matter of peculiar satisfaction to me that we are at last coming to grips with these problems in the shape of this bill and one or two others that will follow. I am not scholar enough to discuss the niceties of Hindu law, but I have dabbled in some broad studies of law and custom and history and cultural developments. My own conception of Hindu society has been that it is essentially dynamic, not static and unchangeable. Indeed, the mere fact that it has lasted a long time is due to a certain dynamism which has enabled it to adapt itself to changing conditions. Gradually, Hindu society became rather static through the hardening of the caste system and in various other ways. This process was spread over hundreds of years, and the final seal was set upon it with the advent of British government in this country. Whenever we talked of Hindu law, we always talked of Hindu law and custom, which meant that custom was gradually changing Hindu law. That is, as conditions changed, customs developed which affected the law in practice, whatever it might have been in the ancient texts. Of course, there are so many ancient texts that one can quote the scripture for any argument. Anyhow, the coming of the British, as I said, made the whole conception static because they codified our law and did so with the help of the most conservative sections of the community here. We have gone through political revolution in this country and become independent. We are going through a process of economic change. There is another aspect which is equally important, and that is social change. I do not think it is possible for you to think in terms of political change, ignoring economic and social change. Most people now admit that economic change is as necessary as political change, but some people seem to think that social change, using the word in a narrower context, is something entirely different from political and economic matters, and that social life can be kept a closed preserve. I submit that this is not the right outlook because life is an integrated whole. If the political context changes or the economic outlook varies, it follows that the social context also changes whether you wish it or not. Therefore, a true revolution in a country must take into account all the three aspects together. The person who considers himself a political revolutionary but a reactionary or a conservative in the economic sense or in the social sense is not an integrated person. He lives in compartments. Take the problem of untouchability. I cannot quote the sacred books, but many people hold that the sacred books enjoined it on them. Nevertheless, we came to the conclusion long ago that it must be done away with, not only because it was unjust, but as Gandhiji repeatedly said, for the very survival of Hindu society. That is to say, this important social change became essential even from the narrower point of view of Hindu society itself. That manner of thinking has to be applied to other problems of human relationships as well. After all, the biggest problems of the world are human relationships, whether of one individual with another or an individual with a group or one group with another group. So far as this particular bill is concerned, as the House knows, it is a permissive measure. It is not forced down anybody's throat. It is essential to have permissive measures as a halfway course which will lead to other measures. I do not propose to say anything about the clauses of the bill. I think that as the bill has emerged from the Council of States, it would be desirable to make alterations or amendments only here and there, not in regard to any big principles. This is not, we all know, any kind of a party measure. It is a measure affecting all of us. The bill concerns not merely Hindus, for it is a permissive measure which anybody can take advantage of. Stop.